Well, hello guys, hope you're all doing well. Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to Scotland. In this week's video, what I want to talk to you about is adding a sense of scale to an image. So I've found an image to work on. I'm going to get you to the back of the camera and show you how it's going to all work. So in this image, what you will see is, if I kind of look through here now, you've got two cottages on left and right. Now the problem with this is, they show scale in the landscape because they're so small compared to the hills behind. But to make this image work better, what I find to do is, if I move the camera now and I move position, let me have a look here. If I move position and get one of them out of the way, so one of those cottages is now out of the frame. I'll just change my perspective on here. There we go. So I get one of those cottages completely out of the frame. I just move myself into position here. What you'll see is now I've got one. And I think that gives a better sense of scale, and it also tells the story of isolation in the image as well. So before you had the cottages on left and right, it was balanced, but what I find is it's not given the story, or it's not given the perspective or the sense of scale that I think it really deserves. So eliminating one of those elements out of the frame, I think works a lot better. Now you can also see the fact that what I've been waiting for is the actual landscape to get light on it, and especially that cottage itself. So this is just a waiting game, really. Is waiting for that to catch a little bit of light, and hopefully what will happen is that'll catch a bit of light, and the hills behind will remain dark, so it'll give that contrast in the image as well. Now you've got the big mountain going off to the right hand side of the image, which hopefully adds that sense of scale as well. So you can see the massive, great big mountain going off to the right, and then this tiny little cottage off to the left side of the frame. Now, normally in a scene, I'm trying to eliminate man-made elements because I want more of a feel of wilderness in my images. But with things like this, it really helps to kind of emphasize and kind of create this sense of scale in an image to include something man-made, and especially when it's so small in the landscape itself. When you've got these massive mountains rising up from the seashore there, and that tiny little cottage there, it works so well, I think. And you can use all of these different elements no matter where you are, as long as you've got something that's obviously with a landscape that's going to be much bigger than the actual element that you're including. It's going to give a real sense of scale about the image. Now the other thing you can do is to use yourself in an image. So I've positioned my tripod quite a way back from the scene, and then just in front out there you can see my bag sitting on a rock. So what I've done is set a 10-second timer on the back of the camera and then run into the scene and then perch myself on that rock there, and that helps to create a real sense of scale because you've got this huge landscape going off in the distance there and you look tiny and insignificant in it. So hopefully you can see what I'm doing here. I've come down off the hillside from where I was photographing before, and using a similar man-made element in the frame, these two fishing boats here, because they're quite small and I'm quite close to them, they really stand out against that backdrop. So it gives you the sense of scale of the whole landscape we're looking at in front of us here. So yeah, I'm going to get you to the back of the camera for this one so I can kind of walk you through what my intentions are with the image. I'll get that set up and get you into there now. So hopefully what you should see is I've got this as a strip pano because I think this works really well for that. I've tried it in a different couple of orientations. I'll show you what I mean. So I tried it as a 4x3, and you can see there that if I just clear that information there, you're getting a lot of these rocks down in the lower section, which I think are quite nice because they kind of balance that image out quite nicely. However, I'm more drawn to the pano at the minute just because it simplifies it and doesn't kind of, there's no distraction in the lower section of the frame, but I'm going to try both here anyway. So we'll just go back to the pano first. You can see where my focus point is on that first boat there. And I've put that off to the left of my frame, kind of just below that first intersection on my thirds. And then the other one is on the other intersection of the thirds there. I'm just waiting for the light to hit those hills in the background there, just to give a little bit more sense of depth. And just grabbing shots, really simple. ISO 100, f16, 50th of a second. Just grab a shot now. What I plan to do as well is do a long exposure. Now obviously what I'm going to do is leave the camera set up, take one shot as is so that I get the boats in position, and then I'm going to take a long exposure for the water just to smooth it out, just to see whether I like that more or not, and then I can kind of blend those boats back in if I need to. Well, good morning guys, and welcome to the last day. So we're going to start heading back after this sunrise shoot this morning. The light's coming up already, so we're kind of making a mad dash down to the coast there, see what we can find this morning. Hopefully there's something we can work on for at least a couple of hours anyway, and then we're going to start heading back because obviously this starter motor's gone on the van. So we can't stop once we get it started because I've got to bump start it. So it's a case of keeping driving, so it's about 7.5 hours home. So yeah, hopefully we either have to come to a stop on a hill or we can keep it going till I get back. So yeah, that's going to be entertaining. But anyway, I'm going to head down here first and get the last bit of photography in before we head back. Should be quite nice though because it's looking pretty calm this morning. You can see the tops of the hills. There's not much cloud, that's the only thing, but we'll see what we get to work with. So now I've made my way up the coast, further round and above the village of Elgol, towards the left of the village. I've come way out that direction, looking back over towards the Coolan Range and then back in towards the harbour with the little town and hamlet on the right hand side here. And going back to what we were talking about yesterday in scale, this little hamlet on the right hand side really tells the story of how vast the landscape this is. So again, you've got this huge mountain range in the distance there, and what I've done is actually cut it off on the left hand side because obviously I can't get everything in. However, what I'm doing is using a pano and basically taking this land in, which basically what I'm standing on here, which is being illuminated now by the morning light, and then a strip pano from probably where the mountain is over in that direction, the kind of centre mountain there, the one that looks a bit like a volcano I guess, right the way across and ending at the end of the village there. I think it's really effective to tell the story of how vast the landscape this is, using these man-made elements on the right again. really does tell a really good story. But what I'm going to do is get you to the back of the camera. I'm going to show you the composition I've got lined up for this. Okay, so I'll press record on the back of here. You can see what I'm looking at. Hopefully you're not going to get blasted out by the wind too much. And as you can see, on the left hand side of this image, over this direction, I've got that mountain off to the left there, and that's kind of ending the end of this pano. And then off to the right, coming way over here, is where the houses stop. And you can see how small they look in this vast landscape. Obviously I've had to cut off the rest of the mountain range, which is over in this direction, but nothing I can really do about that. But you've got a nice balance between sea and then the grass, and the little hamlet on the right there I think works really, really well. Looking at the pano, I think that works best, although if I go and change format now and go to a 4x3, you can see that's pretty nice as well. So I think what I'll do is I'll take both anyway, and to be honest, in this camera, when I take a pano, I can open up the whole thing again in post to get the full image anyway, so it's not too much of an issue. But I like both, I really do. So I'm just going to switch that back. Simple settings. I've got it at a 40th of a second, f16, ISO 100, just underexposing just a little bit, just for the sky. Focusing over towards where the houses are. There we go. And then just take the shot. 2-second timer. Hopefully you like it. Well guys, that's it for this week. I've got to have a bit of a mission to get home. Got to keep this van running all the way back, so hopefully, fingers crossed, all goes well, I can get it to the garage. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed this week's video. Like and subscribe if you have, and I'll see you on the next video soon. Take care guys, bye bye.